When you realize that nothing will change in the leadership, do you tap out and move on, or continue trying to be a good leader to your crew who deserves it?
That's definitely a question that it requires a little bit more information to give a good answer to, because what's the situation? Is there an opportunity that you could become the leader long term? Because that totally changes the outlook, right? If you could do a good job and step up and move up into a more senior leadership position where you could take even more turns or take even more care of the crew, well, then that's a positive thing and it might be worth hanging out for. Also, is it a complete dead end? Like, is there no possibility it's a family-owned business and all the senior leadership is related to the family and you're not part of the family and you never have a chance? That changes the prospect. I mean, obviously, then it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not worth sticking around there. If you leave, can you leave where you can open the opportunity for other people to go where you're going, right? Which is not a good thing in terms of, you're not being very loyal. You're being anti-loyal. You're being unloyal, disloyal if you do that. But if the leadership that you're working for isn't taking care of the people, then you have to have some loyalty to the people that you work with. So there's that. I think that you have to assess everything that's going on in the situation, which is not evident in this one quick question. I would say this too, like, don't blindside your boss, right? That's something that if you're going to leave on good terms, explain to them what's going on. Also, that can be an opportunity to start a conversation about how the leadership could improve. A lot of times people don't want to change anything until it really smacks them in the face. And one of the things that smacks them in the face is when one of their good people comes in and says, hey, look, I'm going to leave because of these reasons. And again, you don't, on the exit interview or on those conversations, you don't just drop dime and make everyone make it out to be this horrible situation. Say, here's some things that I've noticed. Here's some things that I would want to change. Here's the direction that I see the company going, and this is the direction I think it should be going. And for these reasons, I've decided I'm going to go try my hand somewhere else. I think if you be open like that, it can start some good conversations, and possibly you could make some progress, or possibly you could confirm your suspicions, which are no one wants to change, no one wants to do anything different. And if that's the case, and you realize it's a dead end for you, yeah, you got to take that option. You can't beat your head against on the 40, you can beat your head against the wall 47 times. On the 48th time, it's like, okay, I need to do something different. So pay attention to that.
Yeah. Next question. What can we all learn from Tenacious D that most people overlook? Critical question.
It is a critical question, but there's actually a real legitimate answer to that, and that is that Tenacious D, who's a very funny group of individuals. Jack Black is one of them, who's a musician and a comedian and an actor, and Kyle Gass is the other member. What's great about them is they don't take themselves too seriously, and I think that's the lesson to learn: is don't take yourself too seriously. Have some fun, and don't take yourself too seriously. There it is.
Yeah. And I would say there's a difference between taking yourself seriously and being serious. So, you know how, like, being serious is like, okay, you're not necessarily joking all the time. But taking yourself too seriously is like, if like a joke is made about you, or you can't laugh at yourself, or angry. That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's sure. Different. So you can be serious all the time. You can be a serious person and not take yourself too seriously.
That is true. And that's that's fine. That's fine. The person you don't want to be is the person that takes themselves too seriously all the time. Yeah. That's a problem.
So inversely, I guess, could you be a very not serious person, but take yourself too seriously?
Could you be a very serious?
No, not so, could you be a very like jokey, not serious person?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like that's the person that you can dish it out, but you can't.
Yeah,
take it.
Yeah. Thin skin type guy. Guys, yeah. Kind of like you, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. I got you. Next question. Unless there's anything more from Tenacious D.
No.
Maybe some good songs we can. Inspirato, right? That's from Tenacious D. That's where you got that from?
I got to give a warning. The language is not appropriate for kids with Tenacious D, and nor is some of the subject matter, so be careful with that.
Yeah, heed the warning. Next question. You mentioned you rarely play closed guard. Rarely. Is this just a personal preference?
I would say that it is somewhat a personal preference, right? Because there's definitely some people that intentionally play closed guard. Mm-hmm. That's their game. But at the same time, in order to attack, even from the closed guard, most of the time you have to open your guard. So therefore, your guard is open. So open guard. Yeah. And that's kind of what I do. Skip the step of opening my guard. But you've been in people's guard that have really good closed guards.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not fun.
No.
And that's why I try not to let people close their guard.
Yeah.
Because you can prevent that from happening. Yeah. But there's people that have really, really solid psycho closed guard. So I'm not anti-closed guard, and some people are great at it. Mm-hmm. My personal preference is to play more open guard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where closed guard, if you're not a person who always plays closed guard or whatever, it can be just something that you kind of use for specific situations, you know, like if you're trying to maybe regain some energy or something like that, you want to rest a little bit, or even in like a self-defense, like a striking scenario, like a closed guard might kind of.
No, the closed guard is, there's no doubt that closed guard has viable purpose.
Yeah.
And is good. And I do use it. I just don't use it a lot.
Yeah. And if you're a taller, lanky guy, closed guard might be a little bit.
And I have short, fat legs that, you know, my closed guard is like my toes are touching, depending on the size of the person. Yeah, and actually, where it stems from, if you went to the root of it, it stems from footlocks. So if you close your guard, when your guard opens, you're vulnerable, and there's a moment where you're vulnerable. And if you're training with guys that have really good footlocks, that's not a good situation. So that's where I started not closing my guard, because there was always that transition period where my feet were vulnerable. So I just stopped closing my guard and kept it open and moved my feet towards me to keep them a little bit safer.